and either you will be hiring robots or robots will be hiring you.
Today, I have the pleasure to welcome back in the studio Dmitry Panenkov, founder and CEO of Emma, who is, according to my research, the fastest growing startup in Luxembourg ever. You finished last year with 35 million annual recurring revenue. You have a goal this year to double, so to get to 70, but an important milestone will be in June. You will celebrate your 5th anniversary, and you just told me you would like to pass 50 million ARR for this celebration. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me again. Always a pleasure being here.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. First, because you just launched your AI for Lux with Mistral AI. You've been building some cloud infrastructure in Europe for years. Can you talk about this new AI for Lux solution?
Yeah, I mean, I think the initiative is great, right? So you cannot complain about it. So the whole idea is great. The partnership with a French company that does and has their own models like Mistral is also a great thing. So all in all, I'm super happy that this type of partnerships they happen in our country, and looking forward to see how it's working, because I mean, I tried several times. Unfortunately, I had no chance to dig deeper into the details, but I hope like in the next couple of months or maybe like in a year period, all of our services, public services, and that are available to the population, they will be somehow, I would say, embedded with this new partnership and the AI for Lux.
Yeah, we know that Luc Frieden is investing massively. 10 years ago, the Prime Minister of the time was investing in the Luxembourg as a startup nation. It was Xavier Bettel. Clearly, Luc Frieden is investing a lot in this partnership with Mistral AI. It's 40 million euro invested over several years. Okay. I think the idea is to be the first state who is adopting some sovereign technology. So indeed, for players like you who have a very strong track record, it's a great opportunity. But then let's talk about sovereignty. You describe very often a systemic gap. What do you mean by that?
So when we're talking about the sovereignty, we should admit that I think years back we were working, all of us, we were working together with the American companies, with the Asian companies, with all companies all over the world. So it was all about the globalization. And nowadays, with the recent geopolitical changes that are happening here and there in the world, everyone started to think about the sovereignty. However, it doesn't mean that we need to cut all the connections and get rid of all these services. We cannot just do this, because if we're talking about AI, you need accelerators. Accelerators, they are produced by NVIDIA or AMD, or like Google has their own GPUs. All of these companies, they're American.
There's no accelerator in Europe.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, we have SML, but they don't do accelerators, they do the different stuff.
Exactly.
And of course, everyone needs that. But again, so chip makers, they need ASML, not AI per se, like the European. The same goes to cloud. So for example, we have a lot of European cloud providers, sovereign cloud providers. We have Gcore here, we have Post, we have Proximus, we have OVH, we have all the other guys, Ionos, etc. However, they do not have so many of the services that people love. That, for example, AWS has been inventing for years, right? So all these beautiful types of products that people, they enjoy using.
And again, an American, it's Amazon, American company, huge employer here.
Yeah, and if we, for example, just simply disconnect everything from the American hyperscalers, we are just shooting our own leg. That's a big mistake. So that's why I'm saying the systematic gaps, when people, they do not understand how to properly interconnect the best of breed services that we have here in Europe. So for example, we store securely data here, and we still can use for like not so sensitive data, the managed services that we love from the hyperscalers. On the other hand, I think that, and we welcome these initiatives when, for example, AWS is building a disconnected sovereign cloud here in Europe. So there are certain policies, if anything happens, they just simply disconnect the entire European piece and the data stays in Germany. So, I mean, I don't know how that will work in real life, but sounds cool, right? So again, we need to figure it out how not to I would say how not to disturb the way we do the business, how not to shoot our leg, as I already said, and find a balance between being sovereign and still using the best of the breed products that exist in the world, not only in the United States, but also elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, a very good example, we mentioned it just before, is Mistral AI.
Yeah.
I just come back from San Jose, where there was a NVIDIA GTC, and Arthur Mensch was there. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. I'm a huge fan. He had a booth in the main hall for Mistral AI. He gave a lot of interviews, and what did he say in America there? That he was happy to have 25% of his staff in America, 25% of his clients in America. I did a bit of research. A lot of his investors are in America. It's not just ASML.
Yeah.
So there is this double standard. When he's coming to Europe, he talks about this European sovereignty. But when he's in America, he's doing exactly what you say. He's working with the hyperscalers because there is no other option yet.
Yep. So first of all, indeed, and it's never has been a bad thing, even if we're talking about, let's take Luxembourgish startup, typical startup. So imagine a company that does AI tomorrow raises $1 billion from NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a purely American company. I think all of us, me, you, like everyone here, will be cheering these guys. Yeah, you've made it. But on the other hand, that automatically means these guys, they're not sovereign anymore, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think it's a bad thing that Mistral has a lot of international investors, let's say like this. Moreover, I think all these expansion plans, they make sense because America, after, let's say, Chinese market, America is still the second biggest market for everyone in the world, and the sales cycle is shorter. That's why all the companies in the world, they try to have a footprint in the United States, so it's not a bad thing. However, I would say we need to be conscious saying that this or that company is 100% sovereign organization, and we can build our sovereign stack on top of the specific company. I'm not saying Mistral, I'm not mentioning that right now because Mistral is a little bit different, so you can actually get the model and run it yourself. So actually it's more or less open source. However, there are different organizations who pretend to be like sovereign. They are not so, like say, open and transparent, and they still claim to be like European sovereign alternatives to, let's say, American companies.
Yeah.
And we need to split these things because it is like really important. So Mistral AI is a great company. They do great things. And again, I think the partnership with Luxembourg makes a ton of sense. And this is one of the best AI companies that we have in Europe so far.
Of course. And there's two quick things here. First, I need to remind people who have not seen our interview from last year or the year before that you started Emma as a multi-cloud management system. So basically, you are serving companies with cloud all over the world. So sovereignty is something you master. You were able to keep specific data in a specific continent and to move non-strategic data wherever the best deals were, in a nutshell. And now, of course, you're evolving Emma into a much wider company. And I think a second factor that I see a lot, and I'm a very good example, is ignorance. I think when I went to NVIDIA GTC, I thought I kind of understood AI. I did not. We talk about models, but there's also the hyperscalers. I was shocked by companies like Nscale because you need data centers, which again need to raise a lot of money, need to access electricity. It's a very, very complex industry that I compare more to the 19th century railroad with the Carnegies of this world, the JP Morgan or the Vandenbilt. This is where we are. And I don't think that politicians here or the general public understand the complexity, the speed, and the capital needed to get fast enough to catch up with America and China, which, according to my research, are way ahead. So last question. I love to follow your LinkedIn post. I encourage everybody to do the same because you are easily coding. You have your own AI strategy, and every morning when you wake up, it gives you a lot of information about your health, about your staff, about your assets. I really like the approach. You need to tell me how to do that, basically. But when I was in California, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said that every company now needs an AI agent strategy.
True.
How is this looking like for companies like mine or people who are running businesses in Europe?
Yeah, great question. So, in my opinion, we got recently, all of us, no matter if it's a company or an individual, we got the superpowers. And actually, I'm scared to death because I'm sure that there are a lot of people in the world who run the bigger organizations who cannot understand. A lot of people, they do not understand, by the way, how all this agentic world exists.
Ignorance factor.
So, but they understand that, for example, the shares of their incredible big organizations, they are like declining 60%. And they're quite wealthy. And I'm scared to death because everyone today has a superpowers. But when these people who are losing their money, when they start like blocking all these initiatives, right? Because nobody, I mean, from this point of view, nobody needs every one of us, you, me, the other guys, to start building up systems that could easily replace the whole piece of a software they've been building for decades. So
all the jobs that were doing those functions before.
Yeah, and getting back to NVIDIA's point regarding the AI agentic strategy in the company, imagine a year ago, it took 10 business days, it's like a normal sprint time for us to ship a certain features as an addition to our platform. Nowadays, our developers, they do 3 sprints per day. So basically 30 business days per day.
It sounds a bit like Cloud Code and OpenClaw.
We actually use several models, including our internal models. Cloud Code is one of them, of course. With the OpenClaw, again, it's a nice example. Yes. It's a nice example because someone just uncovered and showed everyone, so you can build this orchestration on top of the agents, and that simply works. So again, indeed, you can increase the speed of your development. You can increase the speed of shipment the products. Like you've mentioned yourself, there is a guy in the United States, that's he and his brother, and they are running a business with a turnover like that exceeds the $1 billion, and they have wipe coded everything. So indeed, if you're not like leveraging this, you will be outsider.